Everybody, David here. It's Sunday morning, and hey, President Trump ordered all of the governors to allow the churches in their state to reopen. Isn't that a great thing? Aren't we all excited? Here's the problem. The problem is, how many churches this Sunday morning, are actually opening? You see, the governors are the ones that aren't coming against Trump. There's at least limitations, okay? Just so many people can come, this and that. And then, of course, you have the governors that are coming against Trump. And you have federal judges coming against it. But here's the question. If the churches are allowed to reopen under whatever condition, why aren't they doing it? I drove around today and I think I saw one church open, or at least with cars in the parking lot. Now, maybe your church is open. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if your church is open. But I got to thinking, wait a minute, hold it. There's a lot of churches, at least here where I am, especially mega churches, that are saying, no, we're not going to reopen. We know what President Trump said. We're not going to reopen. Well, here's my question. Who is they? Is it the pastor of the church? Is it the elders? Is it the deacons? Who are they that are saying they're not going to reopen their church? Preacher, that church doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to some committee. It belongs to the people. It belongs to the children of God. So let me tell you something. If you are a member of a congregation, you have just as much right to go to that church, demand those doors be open. You have to abide by the local laws. I understand that. But preachers are not the gatekeepers of a church. All right? And preacher, if you're sitting there and you're keeping somebody from coming in and sitting, wait a minute. You're saying, David, hang on. You don't understand. I got 2,000 people here in my congregation. You know what? Get creative, okay? 6 feet apart. Hey, put everybody in the parking lot. Get out speakers. You know, if you were having some event, you'd figure out some way to do it. But wait a minute. Maybe you don't want to reopen because could it be that people don't have jobs anymore and a lot of people are on unemployment? Maybe they don't have the money. Could that have anything to do with it? I don't know. But here's the issue. The issue is President Trump has given the order to reopen, though many churches have not. And it's the decision of the local church, the pastor, or like I said, the committee, all right? Could it be that these churches won't reopen, especially the mega churches, until they reopen under one umbrella? It's called the One World Religious System. As they open under the rules and regulations of this new system, which I believe is now manifesting itself and coming into existence. This is why I want to go to this interview I did with Dr. Spaulding about 4 days before President Trump announced that churches can reopen. But I want to play this interview for you because we're saying some things in here that are very important, especially to the pastors, all right? So let's take a look at this interview. Pastor Mike, what's the future of the church? What do you see that looking like?
Yeah, and that is the question of the hour, David. That's the question that I hope you'll continue to pose to as many pastors as you know. It's a question that I'm asking pastors on all of my platforms. In fact, this really is the question of the hour for Christians. What now, church?
Yeah.
What now, church? Now that we've seen this, they've shown us what their goal is, and some of these governors, David, they have made no secret of their hatred for Christianity, and the church, because they have taken the far extreme that churches will be the very last thing to open. And I think that I don't believe I'm misspeaking in saying the governor of Illinois has taken that approach, perhaps even the governor of Wisconsin. So what now? Well, if pastors do not see what is right in front of their eyes, David, if they cannot see what governors, local governments have done to the church by putting the clamp down on them, then I'm going to make a statement here that might ruffle some feathers, but I know that you don't care, and you know that I don't care. And it's this: Pastor, if you don't open your church in the face of this kind of demonic tyranny, Luciferianism is what it is. If you don't open your church and tell your congregation, come on back if you feel safe, if you don't, stay at home. But we are opening our doors, and we are not going to submit to this kind of unconstitutional tyranny. We live in a constitutional republic, David. We have certain rights. And as Christians, executive orders, any kind of disease, that does not override our constitutional rights, David. And
Right.
pastors should be rising up in unison and saying no more. Some of us never closed in the first place, David.
And I'm so happy for pastors like you, Pastor Mike. But our constitutional right is very important. And you know this more than me. Our God-given spiritual, it's not so much a right as it is a commandment, is that we are not to forsake being together, connected to one another, worshiping. That supersedes the constitutional right any day, don't you think? That's God's. That's God's word.
Yes, that's amen, David. I agree with that wholeheartedly. We have the additional layer or privilege because of our the wisdom of our founding fathers to establish this Constitution. And by the way, folks, I've said this before, the Constitution is not a set of rules and regulations prohibiting us. The Constitution tells the federal government, which is a creation of the states, their limits of power and authority over the citizens.
Yeah.
We've got this turned around in our current climate, and we need to remind our government, you do not have the right to tell us anything concerning our free assembly together, and especially as God commands us to assemble together. And that is not live streaming. You are not assembling together physically to worship the Lord by live streaming a service. Stop that nonsense, pastors. You get your congregations together in the building, worshiping the Lord, and you tell the government to go pound sand.
Some pretty tough words, huh? But the truth is tough. The truth is that we, as God's children, have the right to worship. It is not a gift from the government, though they would love for you to think that. This is our God-given right. Oh, it's a gift, but it's only a gift from God. But there's many pastors that are opening their church. There's many pastors that look to God as the beginning, the middle, and the end. I want to thank you, Pastor. I want to thank you, congregation, that you've stayed the course. I know there's been persecution. I know it's been tough. But we're going to pray that more of God's people hear God's voice and follow you as an example. And I know President Trump has ordered the reopening of churches, but I'm here to tell you, God has ordered the reopening of eyes and the reopening of hearts. God bless you. I love you all.